that. So yeah, hopefully there will be a few takeaways. There will be something here that people will be able to use in their lessons, if they've got any lessons tomorrow like I have, or Monday when they're back at regular school, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So
well, Christopher, look, it's the last one. Over to you. Have fun, enjoy. Okay.
thank you very much. And before I get cracking, I hope that Antoine doesn't disappear, because I will be asking for a volunteer very soon, and I think that he would be ideal for it. So if Antoine is there, get yourself ready. I might ask Rob as well, but I don't know. Can I trust him?
I'm sure you can trust Rob. Yeah.
I think I can. Okay, so let's get cracking. Thank you everyone for sticking around for so long. It's been a wonderful day, and I'm just happy to be here playing my part. We're going to be looking at some games. Why should we play games in the classroom? First of all, we need to have some sort of a philosophical introduction, don't we? I don't have any references for this presentation, but why should we play games in the classroom? We've had a lot of speakers coming on who have introduced communicative activities. Paula says they're engaging, and yes, we love them. They are fun and memorable. Memorable, I think, is the key. You might go home thinking about how well the game went. You're not likely to go home after a lesson thinking, wow, I really hit it out of the park with that drill at the start of the lesson. That sort of thing, as Antoine himself talked about, it's a necessary feature of our lessons, and it builds fluency, but you remember the fluency part, not the drill part, and games can certainly help that. They also do help to relax students depending on the approach, and it enables students who perhaps are not confident in one skill area to show that they have abilities in another. So I'm glad that it says de-stressing. I thought it said distressing there, Kata. You kind of scared me for a moment. Okay, are there any reasons why we shouldn't play games, on the other hand? I don't know if there are any reasons. Can anyone think of anything? Are there any naysayers out there who think that maybe we should just give them a miss? They might be too competitive, Shaka, you're right. They could be competitive, and if you have a student who tends to dominate the way that classes operate, then they can be off-putting for the other students. And yeah, Phoebe, if they have no purpose, then that would be a reason why not to play a game, unless it is a game for a game's sake. So Olga, yeah, you're right. Could be. It really depends. I don't think that noughts and crosses as such is a great game to play, but if you replace the noughts and crosses with something that is language oriented, maybe so. And then my last little question here for you is, do you have enough standby games already? And by standby games, I mean those little ones that you can pull out of your pocket at a moment's notice, things like Stop the Bus. Never enough, not yet. Yeah. It's good to have a supply of games, which is why I created this, which is a book available on Amazon, but also as a digital copy, and I'll have more details towards the end, but as it says on the tin, 50 games separated into different sorts of categories. We're going to play a couple of those now. And the first one we're going to play is a game that's very similar to something that Scott Thornbury used in his workshop earlier today, which is 20 questions. But this is what I call 20 questions 2.0. And for this, I would like Antoine as my volunteer. We're going to play this game very quickly 4 times. Antoine, are you there? Do I need to do anything to allow? Actually, you're a...
Hi, Chris.
Yeah, you're there. Woohoo! Fantastic. Any broken legs, Antoine?
No, not yet.
Great. So this is...
Should I switch the camera on as well, or not?
If you like, yeah. You're an attractive man, so please let's add to to the joy of the thing. So Antoine, the way that this game works, and I'm going to explain it because I wouldn't explain it in the classroom, but I want to make it clear what we're doing. 20 Questions 2.0 is basically a game that you play 4 times. The first time you play it, it's a typical yes-no question game. So I'm thinking of a country, Antoine. So you have to ask me yes-no questions, like, is it in Europe? So go ahead.
All right, well, let's start. Is it in Europe?
Yes, it is.
It's in Europe. All right. Only yes or no questions?
Yeah, we're just doing number 1 on our little scheme just here. So we're doing this one right now.
So, do people speak French in that country?
Yes, they do.
Ooh, all right. Do they only speak French?
So the saying goes.
All right, then France.
Yes, correct. Well done. Okay, now we're going to play it again. I'm thinking of a different country this time. But this time, when you ask me these yes-no questions, I would like you to use a question tag. So it's a statement with a tag at the end. Okay? So I'm not going to accept the same "is it in Europe" questions. I'm going to accept things like "it's in Europe, isn't it?"
All right. It's in Africa, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Ooh, wow, I'm on fire.
You are. It's almost as if I'm customizing my answers to suit what you say.
Uh-huh. All right. It's in Africa. All right. It's in Africa. It's in North Africa, isn't it?
It is. Yes. Amazing.
Mm-hmm. North Africa. The capital's Algiers, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
All right, Algeria.
Very good. I like that you asked a question about the capital of the country instead of just guessing the country. You've not played this game before, have you? Okay, so now we've done the first 2 stages. We're going to play once more because why not? This time, however, I would like you to ask questions with this structure. Does it happen to be in Europe, for example?
Nice.
Okay, so go ahead.
All right. Does it happen to be in North America?
No, it doesn't, I'm afraid.
No. Does it happen to be in South America?
Yes, it does.
All right. Do they happen to speak Portuguese there?
Yes, they do.
All right. If I remember correctly, there are 2 or 3, though. Is it... It happens to be the biggest country in South America.
Sorry, what was that?
It happens to be... Does it
Sorry.
Aha. Does it happen to be the biggest country in South America?
Yes, it does.
All right. Brazil.
Correct. Or does
it happen to be Brazil?
Very good. And we're going to play one more time just to really drill it home. This time we're going to combine things. So we've got that expression, does it happen to be, and question tags.
All right.
Let's go.
It doesn't happen to be in Asia, does it?
Yes, it does.
All right. It doesn't happen to have a big wall, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, no, it doesn't. It doesn't happen to be both in Europe and in Asia, does it?
No, I'm afraid not.
Oh, Asia's huge. It doesn't happen to be an island, does it?
It's a series of islands, but yes.
A series of islands.
Yep.
Um,
If anyone knows, by the way, go ahead and help Antoine out of his misery by typing the answer. You should have enough. All good guess, but yes, Olian's got it. It is Japan. Japan. Very good. Okay, so that was the idea then for this game. 20 Questions 2.0. So I like this sort of game as a warmer at the start of the lesson, and it could be used to introduce the topic, or it could be used as a way to recycle language from a previous lesson. But it also stretches your students because they have to stick to the language that you've stipulated. But it also helps them to treat some language as moldable chunks. One of the things that Antoine did very well there, thank you, Antoine, for your contribution. One of the things that Antoine did was he had to customize the questions he was asking. So for example, number 3, does it happen to be in Europe, is fine if the verb happens to be be. But when he wanted to ask about the language, he had to kind of change the structure a little bit. So I've played this with all sorts of levels from like B1 upwards. It is a challenge because, you know, in the heat of the moment in the game, they just want to say, oh, is it Brazil? Is it Brazil? You say, I'm sorry. Oh, they go, oh, it doesn't happen to be Brazil, does it? And I go, thank you. Yes, you're correct. So they really get into it. It's a lot of fun that way. Right. Okay. So the next game, this is called Common Features. So again, on the whiteboard in Zoom, you draw a couple of circles. You've got the circle design thing there. I actually love using the whiteboard these days because I went out and bought myself one of these. Has anyone else got one of these? This is a graphics tablet by Wacom. It's Bluetooth, so there are no cables, and I've got the little pen here. I really like drawing with it. I'm not going to do it right now because now I've got the stress of having to perform, but they're really good. If you're going to be teaching online a lot and you don't like drawing with a mouse, because nobody likes drawing with a mouse, then it's something worth getting. So anyway, we've got the whiteboard open. We draw a couple of circles and we have 6 at the top and 6 at the bottom. You can ask your students to download a dice app onto their phone so that they can play it properly. We're not going to go to that sort of extent here. The first way we're going to play this is that I'm going to imagine rolling twice, but I'm not going to tell you what numbers I've rolled. And then I'm going to, actually, sorry, I edited this earlier, but it didn't change on it. I'm going to do it slightly differently. I'm going to, okay, well, ignore what it says on the screen. Let's get rid of that, that box a little bit. Bye-bye. So, first way I'm going to play it to get people started in this game, I'm going to tell you something, and I would like you in the comments, in the chat, to write the 2 numbers that I rolled, the number from the first circle and the number from the second. So let me see. The Incredible Hulk. There we go, the Incredible Hulk. Well done, that was nice and quick. Very good. So that was 1 and a 1 that I rolled. Very good. Okay, I'm going to roll again. And we're going to have Donald Trump, more or less, if he missed a tan session. Four and 1, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas orange, I guess you'd have to go for like 3.5 then, between 3 and 4. Excellent. Ooh, yeah. Actually, Barbara had said 6, so white. Actually, did you see him when he came out of the hospital after he had the coronavirus? Yeah, he'd missed some tanning sessions. He is just white like everyone else, but very good. Okay, so that's the first way you play it, just to establish the game. You show that, or you demonstrate to your students that you're not going to say the numbers, but you're going to say a noun or a noun phrase. The students then have to supply the numbers. Once they know how to do that, what I like to do is to play little games, like break off into little groups, but you could do it with breakout rooms. So maybe the students would take a screenshot and then share the screen in the breakout room so they can play this themselves. I like to do a competitive game. So let's say that you've got 4 students in the breakout room. The first student rolls one first time and second time, and then it's a competition between these 3 to come up with the best idea, and the first guy is the judge. So I'm going to give you 2 numbers, and I would like in the chat for you to try and think of a noun or noun phrase that best fits. So let's go for blue and amazing. Can you think of something both blue and amazing and write it in the chat? Phoebe, that is the best answer. Phoebe wins. We can all just go home. That's the best answer. Yeah. Democratic voters, yes. Yeah. Glenn Suit. I think I like Phoebe's answer the best, because after this sort of day with all of the great stuff that we've had, yeah, definitely IH. Thank you, Phoebe. Okay, so this is a game that works very well then on Zoom as it would do in real life. And of course, you can customize it. You can change this. I've got emotion adjectives pretty much, and color adjectives, but you can come up with different ones. The key thing really is that you're looking to have two circles. So they've got to match something with the first and something with the second. For lower level students, you could just have one circle, I suppose, but then it's not a particularly innovative game. I'm sure that you've played the whole kind of wheel of fortune sort of thing with adjectives before. If I want to get any credit for it, it has to be the innovation of having more than one circle. Okay, now the next one is, as far as I know, my idea, because I don't think Picasso ever taught English or a foreign language. So here is a picture that I drew. I'd like you to guess what it is in the chat, but I would like full sentences this time. Okay, so think about the sort of language that you're going to use. It's not Brigitte Bardot, and Antoine. Or are you just telling us that? I love Brigitte Bardot. It's actually I love Bielsko-Biała, but I would like you to tell me the name of the object that I have drawn in this picture. Oh, Erica Lang says it's a keyhole and a gravestone. How do you know with such certainty? Emma says it's a man reading a book with only his bald head showing. Well, thanks to all this online teaching, that could very easily be mine. But I'd like you to all think a little bit more deeply about this, because how do you know? How can you know what this picture shows? It's a difficult picture to interpret. Thank you, Anna. It might be. Very good. It might be a boot left on a table. It could be. Here we go. So we've got some modal verbs being used. Excellent. Okay, can anyone give me a sentence? Oh, very nice. Ivona, looks like a grape. So great. So instead of a modal, we've now got looks like. What other expressions could we use to show that we don't know with certainty? It can't be a piece of cheese. Yes, I like it. Or perhaps it is. Maybe it's. Very good. Okay, so you've got the idea there. So now I'm just going to clear that part, and I'm going to draw another picture. I'll draw the same one again, actually, to show you how it was done. So it's actually, I'll give you the answer. It was my mug from school. So I had a coffee mug, and I took this mug, and like Picasso would, I started drawing it. So I started kind of getting the lines down this way. Okay, so I've chosen my object and I'm now drawing a little bit. And then the teacher says, okay, stop, move the object and continue drawing. I'm like, oh, move it? I've not finished. I have to look at it from a different perspective. Okay, so I'm now going to look from the top. So I've kind of got like this, looking down on the object. And they say, okay, and stop. So now change the orientation of the object again, have another look at it. I'm like, okay, well, I've kind of got something like this because I'm holding it at an angle now. So what we're doing is we're slowly building up a picture in the style of Picasso. And this is how we end up with this. This is a deconstructed IH mug. Well, it's I love Bielsko-Biała mug, but it was at IH that I had it. I suppose it's how it would look if Antoine called me to the computer again and I broke it and my legs. This is probably the result. But the idea of this game then is that you take an object either at home, if you are home, or in your classroom, if you're teaching from there. After the first few lines, stop drawing. change your perspective. Start drawing again. Put it somewhere else on the paper. Even move the paper somewhere else so that you have to start drawing in a different place. Ivona, yeah, the students could tell you to stop if you want, or you could tell them to stop. It depends how you want to do it. The idea is that you're going to draw something that is not immediately obvious. It has to be something lacking some coherence so that it forces students to use modal verbs. You can't make a statement and say, oh, it's this, because we don't know. We want to use those modal verbs. So you draw another part, then you stop and you repeat. As you can see on the shaded lines here, obviously the angle and the way the light struck the object are shown in different ways, because we have the shadow here, but we've got the shadow here. It can't really be possible. But that's the idea with Picasso's sort of abstract drawings. So I did this with my students at school, and I am planning to do it again when I do a review of modals for speculation soon with a B2 class that I have, and it really worked well. Some of the students came up with really creative ideas. They looked around the room, trying not to look too purposefully so that the others could guess, and then they drew their pictures and we shared them. This works very well when you have the annotate on the screen, because the whiteboard in Zoom, because obviously what you can do if you've got, let's say you've got 4 students, what I always do when I'm setting up a task is I'll quickly divide the board up, and I'll give a bit of space to each of the students that are there so that they can all do it at once. With larger classes, you could consider sending them to breakout rooms and they could do the same thing. Then after a few minutes, bring them back, share the picture on the screen and get the other students to guess what they think it could be. So it's another game that is reliant on drawing skills, admittedly, but it can still work pretty well. I find that a lot of games that use drawing skills work well on Zoom, because it is something that can, you know, just give the students a little bit of interactivity that otherwise they wouldn't get. Right. So this is a game that would take a little bit of an organizational challenge. So this is I've Forgotten How. It's a kind of memory task. So here's the skill of the situation. So I want to make some pancakes, but I've forgotten how to make them. So here are the ingredients that I need to use. So I've got some flour, some milk. What else have I got? Can you see what else I've got there? I've got some eggs, that's right. And I've got some salt. Yeah, I could use a little bit of salt, a bit of butter. Okay, now in a small class of 4 or 5 students, this works very well because they all need to listen at the same time. If you have larger classes of 10 or more students, consider using breakout rooms. And one of the things that I haven't done yet, but I'm tempted to try with my more responsible students, and yes, they do exist, I was thinking of allowing them to move from breakout room to breakout room at will. And I'll tell you how that would work in a moment. But the way I played this game before is that I go up to the first student and I say, hi, you've got to help me. I want pancakes, but I've forgotten how to make them. I've got the ingredients. What do I do first? And the student says, well, first, you need to put some flour into a bowl. I go, right, great, thank you. And then I go to the next student. I say, hi, I've forgotten how to make pancakes. I know that I need to put some flour into a bowl first, but what do I do next? And then the student says, well, next you need to crack 2 eggs and put them into the flour. Like, great, thank you. Go to the next student and you say, hi, I've forgotten how to make pancakes. I know that first I have to add some flour to a bowl, and then I've got to add 2 eggs. What's next? And you keep going on like this around the students, one after another, until you have the completed instructions. Now, at its heart, this is a variation on the old road trip game, where you have students going around saying something, you know, I made a pizza with a tomato, I made a pizza with tomato and cheese, I made pizza with tomato, cheese and bacon, whatever. It is a bit like that, but the dynamic is very different in that you need longer skills. You also use longer structures. You're also giving the students the chance to use their kind of summary skills. They can take what they've been told and then reduce the length so that it's a bit quicker to transmit the information. They also have to hold more information themselves. So when I played this in class, it was a great 10-minute activity for my C1 advanced class, because I had, I think, 10 students at the time, and each one of them had a recipe that they wanted to complete, and they each had to go around and speak to the students in the class one at a time like that. It was a very busy and very loud part of the lesson, and it really got people up and moving around and doing things well. Now, if you were to do it online with breakout rooms, I suppose one way you could do it would be to assign some of the students to being mobile and others to stay where they are in breakout rooms. To assign the student who is mobile, you could change their name. So you could put a number in front of their name, for example, and say, okay, you have permission to move from breakout room to breakout room. So first you go to the breakout room 1, tell the students there what you want to do, they give you the instructions, then move to the next breakout room. These sort of things are possible in Zoom. I haven't tried it out myself though. I'm not quite brave enough. So that would be something for others to try. Glenn, how am I doing for time? I know that we started a little bit late.
A couple more minutes, Chris.
Couple more minutes, brilliant. Okay, so this one I'm not going to bother with because it's very similar to something I think either John or Scott talked about. But basically, you imagine that what you'll have on your piece of paper or on the whiteboard would be something like this. You have a list of 5 items. The students then have to guess what the list is about, what ties it all together. And then, yes, you can reveal, actually, these are my last 5 Christmas presents. So this is a nice kind of customization sort of task. It's a nice little game that you can play very easily. So it would be a good way of recapping recent vocabulary. And then this one, oh dear, you know what? I wanted to show you a really good page from a student's book, and it was about Toruń. Glenn, I'm going to need your help for this. You know Toruń pretty well. So I was planning a lesson quite recently. I was going to share the page from the book. I know, was it Scott talked about screen sharing fatigue, or was that John? I can't remember. So I've got this spread in a book and I've scanned it and I've got it all ready, but obviously something's gone a bit wrong. So Glenn, you're going to help me a little bit. So I remember generally what the page looked like. And I know that it was one of these kind of glossy books. So at the top just there, there was a picture of Toruń. Could you help me out?
Was it like the panorama?
I can't remember exactly. What do you think it would have been? Because I mean, it's Toruń. What would they have used?
Your rectangle like this.
Yeah.
It's like it could be the panoramic view of Toruń, which usually is a long sort of, you know, looking across the Vistula.
Okay. So I'll draw then. You tell me what I need to draw.
Okay.
Am I going to need some blue then for the river?
Yeah.
Where would the river be? The river would be at the bottom, yeah?
Yeah, sort of going across. Exactly. There you go. Beautiful.
Okay. And then what else do I need to add?
Okay.
I'll switch to...
I'll go for a bit of concrete, bit of greenery.
Bit of greenery. So we'll have a bit of green going up. Actually, would there be any sort of buildings like?
Yeah, but put the greenery just above the blue. Stretch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I keep clicking on the. Okay. So what sort of greenery are we talking about? Trees?
Yeah, a few plants, trees. Oh no, much lower down, Chris. But okay, because then we need a few buildings. No, the Gothic skyline of Toruń.
Oh, that's very easy to draw. You just have to say Gothic skyline, Chris, and I'm like, okay, Gothic.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be the town.
And was there like a building like this?
Yeah, that's Celine. That's more to the left, but yeah, beautiful.
Uh-huh.
Then you've got the clock tower, the town hall.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So some sort of a clock thing just there. Yeah, it's all coming back to me. Yeah, that's great. So I'm pretty sure that's what the picture looked like. Now, I know that it was there was like an introductory task because we've been doing present perfect recently, and there was something about Toruń. Now, I can't remember what the title was, but I know that the title, like the heading for the questions here for this subunit was just here. It was something quite witty. So I don't know if anyone in the chat would like to think of what that could be. But I remember that there were a couple of, I think like 3 questions about Toruń that use present perfect to try and kind of, I don't know, like make you interested in visiting the place. Now, what is it about Toruń that would be interesting?
Well, the gingerbread.
Ah, so, okay, that might be it. What do you think the question would be then if we're practicing present perfect?
Have you ever tried the sweet delicacies of Toruń?
Yeah, I thought we were talking about gingerbread.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sweet delicacies
Never have I ever tried the gingerbread. Thanks, Emma. That's a nice one. Yeah.
of Toruń.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, I think they were like that, weren't they? Brilliant. Okay. Have you ever met Glenn in Toruń? I don't think that question was actually in this course book section, Rob, but thank you for the idea.
Copernicus more. I would imagine there must have been something about Copernicus.
Yeah, there must have been. I think maybe that was in the title. Wrong book. So something about so something witty about old Nick C. Okay, well that gets me the idea anyway. So this is actually one of the games a little bit. It could work as a picture dictation if you wanted to do that sort of thing with your students, but it's a great way of getting away from sharing the screen of the course book. Instead of actually just saying, all right, okay, have a look at page 12. I'm going to click share screen. Can everyone see that on their screens? Yeah, brilliant. Okay, have a look at exercise 1. Instead, you can fake a technical problem. I did this in real life. I forgot the photocopies in an early lesson. So you fake a technical problem. You say that you can remember what it looked like, but the file's corrupted, it's not working. Can they help rebuild it? So they start to generate everything, and it's there then, and you have the whole lesson really, or at least the start of it, just here, without actually needing to just share the screen and get them to look passively at something. It's kind of generating interest that way. So it's kind of a zero prep game. It's a little bit different to the others that we've looked at, but I still like it, and it is one that I've used. So there we go. And that brings us really to the end of this short presentation. I hope that's given you a couple of games with which to proceed into the next weeks of teaching. If you want more, this book is available on Amazon. You can get a nice glossy version like this with all of those beautiful drawings, like the cup you saw before. If you go to my website, closelyobserved.com, I've got a little shop there. It's Shoply, which is some sort of online retail. I don't know how it works. And if you use the discount code Toruń20, capital T, like that, Toruń20, then I've got a little discount for you. So the website is closelyobserved.com, and there's a link on there in case anybody is interested. I think there was something in the Q&A. So Glenn, maybe I'll stop sharing and have a quick look at that.
Yeah, by all means, we've got a couple of questions from Magdalena. Yeah. What kind of whiteboard do you recommend for your games and other activities online?
I think here, pragmatism trumps all. And if you're using Zoom, I would use the Zoom whiteboard. simply because it's there and so many other people have it. But also I like the functionality built into it, such as being able to stop people from annotating uninvited. When you're teaching kids, you find that actually suddenly there's a big scribble all over. I also turn on there's an option where you can show the name of the person who has annotated. So if there is one pesky little student who keeps doing scribbles on the board, you can speak to them, or you could send them a private chat message and say, okay, maybe take it easy. Ivona recommends Jamboard. It's not something I've used yet. I've been quite content just to stick with what Zoom has to offer. And Paula's asked, how do students move from breakout rooms to breakout rooms, and what age group would you do it with? I would do it with caution. I haven't really tried this much myself yet. Breakout rooms are, you know, they're difficult really, aren't they? Because one feature that I really wish that Zoom had would be a kind of teacher overview. So you have 4 breakout rooms open and you have a breakout view, so you can see what's happening without going into them. That would be so useful. Another thing to do, like Ivona suggested, is that you can just move students from room to room. And I often do that sort of thing myself as well. So if one group has finished early, if you've got 2 or 3 students who have finished the task early, I say to them when I've checked their answers, well done, you're now the teachers, go and tell the others. And I just move them to the other breakout rooms. So once you're familiar with the way that these things operate, I think everything runs a lot more smoothly, doesn't it?
Yeah, I completely agree with you with this. These breakout rooms. Zoom was not designed by English language teachers.
No.
And you know, it would be great because it does take time to move from breakout room to breakout room, and monitoring is something which is so important. We found in the past, you know, quite often teenagers, they're just sitting there not doing anything.
Yeah.
As soon as the teacher comes, they pretend that they've been talking for the last.
Oh, mine don't even pretend.
Yeah.
They're quite brazen.
Yeah. Anyway, Christopher, lots of positive comments about your session. It was a great session to finish on. Lots of practical ideas which we can run away with and implement in our classes on Monday. So thank you very much. And that basically brings us to the end of our marathon CPD session for today.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. And I think I speak for everybody here when I say thank you, Glenn. These things happen because people make them happen, and you're the person who gets it all started. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Christopher. Very kind words. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so that basically brings us to the end. I'm just going to stop recording Christopher.